Something you don't hear every day. Thank you, Fox News, for keeping a story alive that does not reflect well on the Trump administration. We're talking about the Epstein files. Welcome to the Sanity podcast. Dave Briggs and Allison Camerata here, two former Fox and CNN anchors, and we are all in on the cable news atmosphere today, Allie.
So everybody, please subscribe to Sanity so you can hear more conversations like this. And like this episode, we have Oliver Darcy, former CNN media columnist, on with us to give us the backstory on why Fox continues to cover the Epstein files when the Trump administration appears to not want them to, as well as Oliver's going to share with us, Dave, basically the status of our old beloved workplace of CNN and why they're not doing well with ratings and why they have not launched their much anticipated, long awaited, big digital redo.
Yeah, going down without a fight, it appears. And you mentioned Status. Oliver is the founder of Status, the newsletter. We start with the talk about the Epstein files. We do want to talk about the future of cable news, given that MSNBC and CNN are both being spun off at the same time, interestingly enough, and nobody covers this world better than Oliver Darcy. He is a former CNN media reporter, founder and author of the Status newsletter, and now the host of the Power Lines podcast. Debuts this week. Psyched to have you on, Oliver. Always great to have you.
Hey, Oliver. Great to see you.
It's good to be back with both of you.
Yay.
Yes.
Look at this.
The gang is back together, man.
I know.
I want to talk about the future of cable news, but I really want to start with the present, with this Epstein file story that is really surprising for one particular reason, Oliver. Obviously, the right-wing conspiracy-laden MAGA portion is into this, but I would add it's Fox News that has kept this story alive more than anyone else, going back to Fox and Friends Weekend, to Peter Doocy, to John Roberts, to Jesse Waters just the other night, and it continues to go on. What do you make of it that Fox usually runs the hell away from something that makes the Trump administration look bad, but not in this case?
Well, Fox has always, has always had a good, a finger on the pulse of what really gets the base and the audience going. And I think it's very clear if you pay attention to conservative politics that for years now, Jeffrey Epstein and the interest on these files and who was maybe caught up in them has been just this lightning bolt of energy there. And so I think that's what they know their audience better than anyone. And frankly, Donald Trump is being strange because usually he knows the audience very well too. And I think maybe they're just caught between a rock and a hard place where there's no files, there's nothing to release here. There's no there at the end of this whole thing. And so maybe he's just trying to dismiss it, but usually he knows his audience better. And so I was really surprised yesterday or the day before when he came out and said that this is old and I can't believe you're asking about this, because he knows that his audience very much cares about the Epstein files.
There's either no there or too much there.
Well, and I think that the Fox audience is probably in the latter camp there, right?
We don't know, because either there's no Epstein files, which is a distinct possibility, or Donald Trump features prominently in an Epstein file somewhere. And so the Trump administration truly is between a rock and a hard place, but we don't know which one it is.
Well, and there's also so many versions of the Epstein conspiracy theory or story. And one of them for a long time was that he didn't kill himself, that this happened under the Biden DOJ. Someone must have killed him, right? And now Dan Bongino and Kash Patel, they were the ones spreading this nonsense. And now they're the ones in charge of the FBI. And, there's obviously not much they can do. They're saying it's not true. He's the one that he did kill himself now. And no one believes them. And it's actually, what I find interesting is from a media study or media perspective, it's very interesting to see the people that fan the flames of the conspiracy theory try to extinguish them. And I think you're seeing that once it starts, once the fire gets roaring, there's nothing they can do. And so now they're part of the conspiracy theory, right? And now the Tucker Carlsons of the world are saying, you guys are part of the cover up. And it's a very interesting dynamic that's happening.
And now it's
Yeah.
the MAGA deep state. And to your point, it's not just current Fox News, it's former Fox, because Megyn Kelly says Pam Bondi should be fired. Tucker Carlson said it threatens to blow up the entire MAGA movement. And Glenn Beck has piled on and said this is a big problem and Pam Bondi needs to be fired. It goes back to this one key moment for me, Oliver, which is unbelievable. From a year ago, Allison and I's former show, Fox and Friends Weekend, asking the president about what he would declassify. And to me, I don't need much more evidence than this.
Classify the 9/11 files.
Yeah.
Would you declassify JFK files?
Yeah.
Would you?
I did a lot of it.
Would you declassify the Epstein files?
Yeah, I would.
All right.
I guess I would. I think that less so because, you don't know it. You don't want to affect people's lives if it's phony stuff in there because there's a lot of phony stuff with that whole world. But I think I would.
That's my favorite part, Oliver. President Trump doesn't want to get into that phony stuff because there's some immigrants eating dogs up there.
He
that are
hates
in the
phony
way of
stuff.
that.
Right.
But what's interesting from your perspective is, and I want to get to the CBS lawsuit in a minute about the creative editing. I could only find that soundbite through that crappy version there because Fox re-aired it minus the squiggling out of it. They took out the awkward moment from Trump there when they re-aired it, and it was just a clean click out, and you really didn't get the sense that he looked like a guilty man. So what do you make of the selective editing and of how that has unplayed from a year ago to today?
I mean, well, they have a lengthy history of doing this, right? They've done this before. It's not surprising that Fox has been his propaganda mouthpiece since day one. And so not surprising that they would cover up for him. I think it's obviously extremely hypocritical, particularly given how they've gone after 60 Minutes in CBS News for a pretty routine edit and made it seem very nefarious and that they should be, they were trying to help Kamala Harris win the election, which is just like so absurd. And they're doing the same. I mean, they're doing a lot worse, actually. They're actually trying to make Donald Trump appear better. And they've done this in the past with others as well.
But Oliver, I think that you fastened on something that's really interesting because Dave and I were talking about this too. We know that Fox's coin of the realm is ratings. That is what matters to them the most. Now, for the past many years, it has seemed that currying favor with Trump matters the most. But when it comes down to Trump versus ratings, it turns out, and the Epstein files is Exhibit A, that ratings trump Trump. If you know what I mean, that keeping the audience glued to the Epstein files, even though it looks bad for Trump, somehow is more important for Fox. And I just think that you don't see that often. That is an interesting.
I mean, they still could be going harder on this story. I think they know they can't ignore it. I think they know that it is electrifying the base, but they could. I mean, if this was Biden, can you imagine if Biden came out and said that there's no, none of this stuff is true. It's totally BS. And like Biden DOJ said this, Merrick Garland. I mean, can you imagine? It would be like another level. And so, yes, they're covering it, but not close to the same, with the same passion as they would if this were the Biden DOJ. And I just can't get enough of Kash Patel and Dan Bongino now being part of the deep state conspiracy web. It's much easier, it turns out, to be a talk show host just spouting off and not having to deliver any of the goods than when you're in government. And these guys aren't even responsible members of government, but they still, I guess they can't make up stuff or they can't go arrest someone without cause.
Why not? This is the part that, why don't they just create an Epstein file? Like, since when are they above just creating falsehoods and spinning a conspiracy theory? I can't believe that they haven't come out with yes, we have it right here. Now, let me.
Well, they kind of tried that, Allison, right? They kind of tried doing this sort of thing where they released it. Remember, they had the influencers go down there and,
there was
and they're like, wait a second,
there.
it's all redacted.
Yeah.
And that was that. And then also keep in mind that when all this started happening, very coincidentally, I'm sure, very curiously, Fox News got a leaked word from the DOJ that they've opened up an investigation to James Comey, right? A criminal investigation. Sources just happen to tell Fox News this at the same time as they're getting all this backlash. And obviously, it's pretty obvious what's going on. Maybe they're throwing a distraction flare out there, but still not working.
I thought Trump might bomb somebody. Quite frankly, he needed a distraction so bad. But meanwhile, Fox continues to dominate. I mean, in any given night, they're occupying more than 60% of the cable news audience, while MSNBC and CNN are down 15 and 13% in prime time. And both, Oliver, are being spun off at a very interesting time. What is the future of those two from a business perspective?
Well, I mean, I think we're going to see what the future is. I think both have a potential, right, in this new spin-off world. I think it's going to be a very tough uphill climb, though, for both of these outlets. I mean, they're very large. They're used to they've been built on a business model that is rapidly crumbling, and they haven't figured out how to fill the hole that that they need to fill. And I don't know if they'll ever be able to be as big as they once were. But they certainly have a chance at succeeding in the digital space. It's just going to be that they're a much smaller entity. And but even to get there, they have a lot of challenges because really right now they have no digital business. I mean, CNN is trying to erect a digital business and they have a subscription business. I mean, I think that there's certainly a lot more work that has to happen there before people are going to fork over hard-earned dollars, especially given that their intro rate is basically the same as like the intro rate of the New York Times or the Wall Street Journal, which offers a lot more bang for your buck. So, and at
I want to stop
MSNBC,
you right there, Oliver. I just want
there's
to,
nothing
but I
there.
want to zero in on CNN because it was all
Sure.
of our shared workplace, and you and I, Oliver, left I think roughly around the same time. And I think I'm on record saying that I loved working at CNN, and I still think that it's a beloved national treasure, basically. But the talk when you and I were leaving, Oliver, was that it was time to move to digital, and that fewer and fewer younger Americans, really, and just Americans as a whole, were sitting down to watch any news on their television. So digital was the new play. And that's why Mark Thompson, who had done this successfully at the New York Times, was brought in. But I mean, correct my calendar if I'm wrong, but wasn't that 2 years ago? I mean,
It was about 2 years ago, yeah.
Okay, 2 years ago. So what's happened on that front? Has there
Not
been any
much.
progress?
I mean,
Why?
look,
Why?
not much. I mean, I think a lot of people were hoping to see a lot more progress by now. I think they would say, and I think to some extent this is fair, that this is not something that happens overnight. This is a very difficult switch, and it's not like you can just turn on the light switch and it happens. But I do think there are things they could have done by now that they just haven't done. I mean, I actually didn't entirely understand launching a paywall. They have this paywall on the website or whatever, or the subscription-based product, without actually having a reason to inspire people to pay for it. I mean, like if I were them, I would have maybe gotten 10 of my top stars and said, you're all writing columns now, right? Like Caitlin Collins is writing a column on Sunday evening. To get that column, you have to be a subscriber. Fareed Zakaria's column behind a paywall. If you want to get his Monday column, you got to subscribe. Jake Tapper, he's got a Tuesday column. You got to subscribe to get his column. Wednesday, Sanjay Gupta. They have a lot of big star talent that they could, give people a reason to subscribe. And I haven't really seen, does anyone here subscribe to CNN.com?
No.
Crickets.
And I subscribe to pretty much everything, right? Like this is the target demo. We're all news junkies. You would probably subscribe if there was a reason to subscribe, right? This is not like a difficult demo to win over in news, but that shows, I think, that they haven't provided or offered value for that subscription. Now, they would say it's going to change, but time is ticking. And, you can only delay so much. And, they announced a weather app, but I get why they did it. I mean, it's a clear advertising play, but like, what are they going to announce? When are they going to actually get into these lifestyle verticals and give people a reason to say, I want a CNN.com subscription? I'm not really sure putting the television programming on streaming is going to do it. I'm sure they have models and that suggest they're on pace. I don't know, but I think that you certainly want to see a lot more progress by now. And it's been almost 2 years since Mark Thompson was appointed, and that hasn't happened. It's come a lot slower than I think people anticipated.
No doubt about that. And on the other hand, have they done, in your estimation, MS or for the latter, CNN, have they done anything truly interesting or innovative that I just have missed? I mean, I've thrown out there like, put Tara Palmieri's podcast on the air or put Michael Smerconish on 5 days a week instead of burying them on the weekend mornings. Have they done anything interesting to shake things up and break the model a little bit?
I mean, no. Look, I would say that they should just leave the linear. I mean, I think. Do I think they could improve the ratings on linear if they really wanted to? Yes, I think they could. Is it worth it at this point? Probably not. Like, that's not the future of the business. Why they don't have like a series of like really interesting podcasts like this on digital video on YouTube on CNN.com, where you can watch like some of the correspondents who maybe aren't on air as much, like diving into very niche issues that would drive audience. I don't know why that's not happening. Why they don't have newsletters that people will pay for. I don't know why it's not happening. I mean, I was even thinking, free ideas for people trying to transition. But like, if I were starting this, I would be like, what would be cool? Like, why not acquire some YouTubers who do like travel YouTube and like have a really cool travel section and monetize that by selling ads against hotels like, the Ritz-Carlton and the Marriott brand, Hyatt, and like airlines and credit cards, which are about travel spending and benefits and luxury travel luggage or whatever. Like, there's a lot of, like, you could acquire some travel YouTubers. There's a lot of them on there who probably would love to be acquired by CNN and have their trips paid for by CNN to go review cool hotels and different destinations. There's like a lot of, I think, interesting things like an outlet like CNN can do with the resources it has, but you still haven't seen a lot of experimentation, I don't think. And you've seen a lot of talk. You've seen a lot of speculation and in columns like mine and others about what could happen. But like, I go to CNN.com today and it might look slightly different from a visual perspective. I think it has less like political edge because they've gone softer on Trump. But outside that, like, it doesn't look much different than it did 5 years ago, right? It looks kind of the same.
But I mean, Oliver, you just spitballed some great ideas that we would actually tune into and read. And so you have reporting. I mean, is there a reason they're slow walking that?
Look, I'm sure they would say, Oliver, you've never run a business, and this is a lot more difficult than you think it is. And there's a lot of, wheels that have to turn on this bureaucracy to make things happen. And I think that might be the actual issue. It's like, it's a very large bureaucracy. It's a large company, and a lot of people have to be in meetings to make stuff happen, just like any other large company. And it's not as nimble as it might need to be to survive or thrive in a digital era. And a lot of the stuff might be coming down the pipeline. Like, it's certainly possible. I just haven't seen anything yet. And I don't know how long we're supposed to wait or people are supposed to wait, but other outlets, other digital creators are doing this stuff and doing it pretty quickly. Look, like, I started Status not even a year ago, and we're doing pretty good, I'd say, for a small band. And, had CNN started this inside CNN, like, I'm sure with the scale of CNN, this, business could be a lot bigger, and it could be, it could have made a lot of people some money. But, I don't know. I'm not in charge of that network. I only know from my reporting that people are internally wondering, like, when is this going to happen?
You just mentioned CNN going easier, if you will, on Trump. Has that been a mandate from the bosses?
Well, I don't know if it's a mandate from the bosses. Like, I mean, I think it's clear that under David Zaslav and Warner Brother Discovery, the kind of coverage that you saw under the AT&T and Jeff Zucker era is gone, right? Like, it's just gone. It's not really the same thing. I think they do. Certainly there are hosts on there and there are correspondents on there that ask hard questions and do good reporting. But I think by and large, and I think they would acknowledge this, I think David Zaslav would acknowledge this, in their eyes, I think they've returned CNN to a more fair network, a more, a less hyperventilating network. I think in reality, though, there's a lot to be worried about in what's going on in this administration. And by toning down, I'm not really sure this is the time to tone down, right? Like, this is actually a very worrisome time in American politics and democracy. And Donald Trump is assaulting pretty much every tenet of this country, whether it's Harvard or, in the education institutions or the media institutions, or warping the FBI or the with the Department of Health and Human Services. I mean, like, you go down the list and there's a lot of alarming things happening in all these agencies and a lot of assaults on just common American principles. And so is this the time to be, I don't know, more moderate in your tone? I don't know. I would disagree. And I think the audiences kind of have reflected that, and there's not like that like straight talk, I think, that people connected with during the first administration. It feels like it's a lot more restrained, and people can tell. Audiences aren't stupid. They can tell. And I think the ratings to some extent do reflect that.
Yeah, I know they do. I mean, I know because people come up to me all the time and just say, like, what's going on over there? And I would submit that it's not about fairness of asking tough questions. That's
Right.
what we're tasked with. When the Trump administration officials in the first round, or when Trump was a candidate, or his surrogates would come on, we asked tough questions. That is fair. That's not being unfair. So in terms of pulling punches now, or being more fair, or being more moderate, I don't even know what that means. That isn't what we were tasked with. But in any event, do you see the same phenomenon at MSNBC? Have they gained, like, it doesn't seem, do you think that they are still hitting what needs to be hit and highlighted as hard, and are their ratings suffering, or have they picked up some CNN viewers?
Well, they've definitely picked up some CNN viewers. I think there's no doubt about it. Like on big election nights or politics nights, like CNN used to dominate. I mean, forever, right? Like everyone would turn on CNN, and now they're regularly beat by MSNBC in total viewers, and often now in the demo, the advertiser support or coveted 25 to 54 demo. That said, like MSNBC is obviously having rating struggles right now as well. I think it's a different sort of rating struggle. I think the MSNBC audience is very they have a lot of Trump fatigue, and I think after the election, their numbers fell quite a bit, and they still haven't come back in the same way. The MSNBC audience gets excited, I think, when Donald Trump is on trial or things like that, and when he's just like, I think they rather just turn a blind eye to some stuff. Some members of their audience, and I also think that the new boss, Rebecca Cutler, came in, and she did make a couple of pretty controversial decisions in programming. She eliminated Joy Reid's show, and that sparked a lot of backlash, both externally from fans, but also internally amongst like Rachel Maddow and others. And that 7 p.m. show that's there now hasn't proven to be a rating success. Maybe it will in the long term, but hasn't at the moment. And then she also canceled Alex Wagner's show and put in Jen Psaki. And I think anytime you adjust the lineup, you're probably going to have some ratings. There's going to be you need some time and runway, but I don't think it's performing. It's certainly not, these changes haven't juiced the lineup ratings. And that's another factor. And, we're also in the summer. So
will we ever see any salaries like Anderson Cooper's $18 million a year ever again, with the exception maybe
is that what Anderson makes, Oliver? Does he make $18 million a year?
I don't have that sourcing that says he makes.
Where are you getting that, Dave?
Dylan Byers.
I think Dylan Byers reported that I don't.
No one disputed it. So,
well, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm sure Dylan had it on good authority. I think not just to host a linear television program. I do think that there will be deals, and I think you're seeing this with people like Alex Cooper, Joe Rogan, the whole
Pat
digital
McAfee,
creators,
Stephen A. Smith.
Yeah, like there will be deals for people who can engage on digital and prove themselves in the free market, but like just to host a linear television show, I mean, I don't think so.
Who is the king of media today? If it was Howard Stern, who is it today?
Oof. I mean, I don't know if there's one king. I think that it's the landscape is so fragmented. You'd have to kind of like chop it up and then figure out. Like, I think Alex Cooper is the queen of like a certain demographic, right? Probably younger woman. Like she's like a very top source there for like men my age and maybe your age, Dave. Like Joe Rogan is probably like one of the top personalities in that world. For an older demographic, maybe it's actually someone on linear television. Maybe it's like David Muir, where they turn to the evening news every single night. Like, I think, I don't know if there's one king of media anymore. I think that we're so divided, not just from our politics, but how we consume news and media, that there's a bunch of different people.
Yeah, I would have gone with Rogan.
Yeah, I love David Muir, but I don't think anyone's ever referred to him as the king of media.
Well, he is. I mean, he does host the most watched news program in all of America every single night.
True, Oliver. I guess I have always drawn a distinction. I mean, for more than 10 years, and I guess I'm the only one, between news and media. Media is Joe Rogan.
Sure.
News
Okay.
is a much more specific thing with rules. Media doesn't have those rules. But in any event, I don't want to get too semantical. I think that I'm clearly not getting semantical. Oliver, we want to hear about your new podcast. So tell us what you're going to be covering and give us the juicy behind the scenes sneak peek of what's going to happen on it.
Well, we're going to be doing the same thing that we've been doing on this podcast, basically over at Status on Powerline. So we're going to be having very unfiltered, very candid conversations about the state of media across the board that probably will make the PR professionals who represent these outlets a little bit uncomfortable when they listen, but that's okay. We're going to be very honest. We're going to be even-handed. We're going to be fair. And we're just going to have I think that Allison, when I would see you at CNN, we'd have a really frank conversations, kind of like this one we're having right now, where we were very honest about the state of media, both in our, at that time, current workplace and elsewhere. And a lot of people say they want to have these conversations on podcasts, but you listen and it's not really what's actually the content. We want that to be the content of the Power Lines podcast. So John and I, in the first episode, we're talking about Linda Yaccarino's exit from X. We're talking about what's going on at Paramount with David Ellison's takeover there and what it might mean for the future of Stephen Colbert and Jon Stewart, because I would just suggest they might be in a little bit of shaky ground now with the new ownership coming in. And then we talk about some fun stuff. I apparently had a very terrible take on F1 that we released in our trailer. And so we addressed that, talked about the Superman movie coming out. So it's about media, politics, technology, power, and how it all really intersects.
Yeah, I'm interested in the Paramount angle that maybe they gave away up to $15 million in free advertising. I'm sure you'll dive into that, but a little more on Linda Yaccarino exiting X, just as, and maybe it's coincidence, I don't know if you have reporting on this, as Grok goes nuts, kind of white supremacy and almost in a Hitler direction. And it almost feels like, Oliver, Elon Musk is at a death spiral stage because Tesla investors are freaking out. I think there's probably a lawsuit coming against the board. It feels like everything is spiraling out of control for all of his companies, minus SpaceX. Well, you might even argue them because they've lost some government contracts. So what's happening behind the scenes there at X with Elon and Linda exiting?
Well, I think, as you pointed out, it's very hard to work for Elon Musk. Probably just as hard as Donald Trump, maybe even harder to work for Elon Musk. He demands a lot from people. He is temperamental. He's erratic. He's a right-wing conspiracy theorist now who's probably difficult to rationalize with. So there's a lot of problems just to work with him. But on the X side, Linda Yaccarino was brought in to sell ads, to get ad revenue back to where it was pre-Musk acquisition. You remember Elon comes in, he does a bunch of stuff, advertisers flee, and he wonders, how can I get that money back, right? So he hires Linda Yaccarino, had a sterling reputation in the media business as an ad executive, probably one of the best reputations out there. Someone told me she should have been on the Mount Rushmore of advertising. She was really pristine reputation, right? And she was able to some degree leverage that reputation and those long-standing relationships to get some advertising back, but just never could get it back to where it was pre-acquisition. Why was that? Because Elon Musk is erratic and crazy and chases advertisers away. He literally told them, remember he told Bob Iger to go F yourself. He doesn't care about advertising concerns. And I think over the last couple of years, Linda Yaccarino, as she's tried getting these advertisers back, became somewhat of a instrument or voice to tell Elon, we need to care about brand safety. Advertisers want this. Your behavior is chasing advertisers away, et cetera, et cetera. And as she was giving him this feedback, I think he became annoyed. At least this is what my sources are telling me. He didn't really appreciate it. He doesn't care about advertisers. And so they had a falling out. Their relationship went sideways. It just deteriorated over time. And I think she could see the writing on the wall because earlier this year, Elon Musk layered her. He had his AI company, XAI, acquire X, the social media platform. And that basically, that limited her interactions with Elon. That there was rumors or chatter internally, I'm told, that she was going to be even layered further in the future ahead. And so I think she read the writing on the wall and tried to get out and spin this narrative that she had she said she had led this big, great business turnaround, and that was her goal there. But in reality, she was kind of forced out, and Elon doesn't care about the advertisements. And I think he's going to actually move away from advertising on X and try making it into a subscription service where you have your AI and your everything app, as they would say.
I mean, does this spell, it sounds to me like everything Elon Musk touches spells trouble for us, but I can't quite put my finger on how. How does this affect regular people? What's about to happen at X or without Linda Yaccarino?
Well, I mean, I don't know if it's going to affect regular people right away. I think there's questions about whether X can become a subscription site. And so if you use it and you care about the future of it and it doesn't have advertising revenue, because, I mean, look, if Elon thought the advertising revenue is low with Linda there, wait until he sees how hard it's going to be to sell advertising without Linda there, because those advertisers were there largely for her. And so that's going to be a challenge. But I think more broadly speaking, what's happening with the AI bot that he has, Grok, is highly disturbing, where it is literally praising Hitler this week and saying Adolf Hitler is like, I guess, a good person.
Yeah.
It gave one user very specific, detailed instructions on how to commit rape. And now Elon came out the other day and said, oh, it's just trying to be too compliant and we're going to fix this. But like, he rolled this out without the safety protections. And the most ironic thing about it was he was upset at Sam Altman with OpenAI because he was the guy saying that AI is dangerous and we have to be responsible with it. And he's now rolling out AI that is,
vile and violent. That answers my question.
Yeah.
Oliver, I appreciate that. That does affect regular people. That kind of content being spewed out. That does.
And it has access. It's training on all the internet too. So it's training. If you're posting on X, it's training on your data.
One last question: why do you have a Slinky?
This is actually a CNN Slinky. I've had this for like years.
Did you steal it? Did you purloin it from the office?
No, this was in like some sort of bag or something at one point. And
you use it?
I do, because I do a lot of meetings and I like want something to play with in my hands, and so I just have it on my desk, and I suppose I should upgrade and maybe I can get a status Slinky and maybe a metal one instead of plastic. Maybe that's something I should be working on.
Oliver, we appreciate the time. We look forward to the podcast Power Lines, which debuts Friday, and everybody check out Status newsletter, status.news. We're happy to come on, but we know you're not going to be a guest show, which I think is a good call for you guys. So thanks so much. Best of luck. Very much appreciate the conversation.
Thank you both. This was so much fun.
It was really fun, Oliver. We'd love to have you back. It's always great to talk to you.
Thank you.